There are several reasons I could consider a game to be among my favorites. Minecraft is essentially its own medium of art. Hollow Knight has gameplay that is satisfying to master and an atmosphere complex and mysterious world. Amori is one of the only things in recent memory that has caused me to cry. Eastward is among my favorites because it feels like a world made for me. Eastward is the subject of my second installment in storytelling in video games that start with E and end with D. It is an adventure game in a classic Zelda-like format with fun characters and a world that is intriguing and beautiful. It came out in 2021, but I only played it a few months ago, around the end of 2025. Looking at some of the content in this game, I'm surprised I wasn't cosmically destined to discover it sooner. The game has a similar type of world to those in Ghibli movies such as Laputa or Nausicaa, some of my earliest favorite movies. These worlds are post-apocalyptic, but not in a dreary or desolate way, but in a vibrant, cozy way. These are worlds where people have started to form new communities on top of the ruins of advanced civilizations. These communities often consist of humble villages, with tech often ranging from simple medieval tools to just scraps of the advanced technology they could find in ruins. Eastward is this kind of world, though it distinguishes itself from the Ghibli apocalypse movies by mixing in a cyberpunk flair. Robots exist in the world of Eastward, and they just casually live amongst humans. Of course, an important part of cyberpunk is the theme of humanity attempting to evolve itself, often in ways that go too far. I'll discuss later in the video where this is seen in Eastward as well. On top of this, the game has a wide range of tones. It's often casual and cartoony, but also very hype or melancholic when it needs to be. I really like story-centered worlds like this. Laputa has been very influential to me ever since I was a young child, and Eastward gives me a similar feeling while still forming its own identity outside of Ghibli's shadow. If I weren't occupied with making an urban fantasy comic, I would very much like to tell a story in a cozy post-apocalyptic pseudo-cyberpunk world. So what is the story of Eastward about? Can you guess what direction they're going in? It's east. They're going eastward. Eastward centers around two main characters, John and Sam, who live in a mining town underground. Sam is a curious young girl who may be of supernatural origin. John is her adoptive father figure who works in the mine. John isn't very emotive or talkative, but he cares a lot for Sam. The whole dynamic is very Pedro Pascal coded. Eastward is about Sam and John leaving their hometown and discovering the mysteries of the outside world. The pixel art in Eastward is probably my favorite in any game. The character animations are super lively and charming, but the highlight of the visuals of this game for me is the environments. The pixel art has a painterly quality to it. I don't mean that the pixels look like brushstrokes, I mean how the environments use colors. It's especially prevalent in the greenery, and what's great about it is it's not all just green. Plants in Eastward aren't just the color of your average mowed lawn. The green is often more muted and natural looking, and is mixed with splashes of color such as blue or red. The use of colors in this game reminds me of Impressionist paintings, with their wild use of colors that evoke a vibrant feeling of light while still looking natural. I'm also kind of obsessed with the soundtrack. A lot of songs embrace a retro 80s synth sound, which I find really fun. There are also some energetic chiptune songs, but also quite a few pastoral sounding songs that embrace the Ghibli side of Eastward's influences. As I mentioned earlier, Eastward's gameplay has a format similar to classic Zeldas. I've not played classic Zeldas, but what I mean by that definition is that Eastward consists of action-based fights and plenty of puzzles. You mainly fight with John, who gets more and more weapons as the game goes on, but Sam can also help fight. Sam can stun enemies, which is a handy tool to have in many fights. It's pretty easy to just switch to Sam, stun an enemy, then quickly switch back to John in a single button press, and beat up that enemy. The puzzles also make good use of controlling two characters. Each one has a different tool set that is needed to solve puzzles. If you get hurt too much in a fight, you can eat food instantly. John is a cook as well as a miner, and the game has many recipes you can discover by experimenting with different ingredient combinations. Each meal has its own flavor text that encourages you to attempt to discover each one. It's worth noting that the game also has a game within the game. This game within a game is called Earthborn. It's a retro-feeling turn-based RPG that is beloved by the characters in the game, and the story of Eastward sometimes has parallels to elements of Earthborn. I played very little of Earthborn. I'm much more interested in the main game of Eastward, but still a charming aspect of the game. You can also collect gacha figures of some of the Earthborn enemies, which come with descriptions which are somewhat cryptic until later in the game. That's basically what Eastward is. If it sounds interesting, I encourage checking it out. It's a really fun adventure. If I haven't convinced you, maybe the opening cinematic of the game will. I know it got me hyped to play the game. I just think the animation is really fun and it gives you an excellent taste of the world of the game. I will now be covering the plot of the game, so if you would like to avoid spoilers, you'll have been warned. Eastward begins in the underground town of Pockrock Isle. The town is blocked off from the outside world, only connected by forbidden passages and the train tracks of a vessel called Charon. John is a miner in this town, and he is the caretaker of a child called Sam, who he found in the mines. John is also an excellent cook, but also doesn't talk. Sam is about to start attending school, but she also somehow has recollections of seeing the surface. Sam starts seeing a ghostly version of herself that tells her about the surface. Sam tries to tell the other residents of Pockrock Isle about the surface, but she is called a fantasist, like the father of Daniel, one of the kids in the town. Sam's double tells her to go to the Forbidden Land to get to the surface. John ventures into the Forbidden Land after her, but ends up injured. Sam finds John, and her double helps her awaken her powers to escape and find help. Once John is recovered, the mayor of Pockrock Isle, Hoffman, takes John and Sam into custody for attempting to go to the surface. In jail, they find Jasper, the one-man show, and Daniel manages to give Sam his father's lucky coin. After escaping jail, the mayor finds them and sends them to Charon. The mayor gives this big dramatic speech that at the surface they'll find naught but poison and miasma and yada yada yada. After the speech, he has John, Jasper, and Sam board a train, and so they are off to the surface. The train leaves the underground, and there's a beautiful sky and mountains. Sam seems quite excited, despite Jasper's melodramatic reaction to the impending horrors of the surface. The train stops at White Whale Bay, a forested mountain range. This is where the visuals of the game really blew me away. The forest feels so lush with the trees, foliage, rocks, and broken down structures from years past. Forests and big evergreen trees deserve a lot of respect, and this game gives it to them in the form of a beautiful environment. John and Sam enter the town of Greenberg, which is about to have a big festival and harvest. Yuva, one of the residents, helps John and Sam settle in a nearby cabin and make themselves at home. The next day, John and Sam must hunt down a troublemaking animal in the woods. Upon doing so, they come across a strange facility in the forest. The only thing better than a beautiful forest is a beautiful forest of a strange science facility hidden within. This game is really spoiling me. Inside the facility, Sam's double appears again, vaguely claiming she will join the harvest. A machine in the facility is reactivated, saying a miasma will be deployed, and welcomes Mother. The facility is full of strange gooey vessels containing brains, embryos, and fully developed human bodies. Something sinister is definitely going on, but John and Sam eventually return to Greenberg, so we don't have to worry about that. Greenberg is starting to feel like John and Sam's new home. Yuva is getting feelings for John, Jasper finally found someone who understands him, and he's joyfully recounting the exploits of his companions. There's even a festival where the townspeople learn what flash photography is. Still, it would be weird if they only went eastward once in a game called Eastward. Something's gotta drive them further. In the middle of the night, a mysterious woman arrives at John and Sam's cabin. She warns him that something called a miasma is coming, and they need to leave for the residents of Greenberg. John carries Sam asleep on his back, as her power passively removes from the plants blocking John's path. In the woods, John must navigate through the miasma as it overtakes the forest. Turns out that Mayor Hoffman was right. Their surface really is covered in miasma. It's kind of surprising that the fear-mongering of an insecure tyrant turned out to be more than fear-mongering. When Sam's double appears again awake in her body, a robot from the facility arrives and calls her Mother. That's probably who Sam's other self is. Mother has the robot take John with her to the station. Jasper and the mysterious woman are the only ones who survived. John and Sam are brought to the train while asleep, along with Jasper as they continue their journey. The entire town of Greenberg is overtaken by miasma, and presumably none of the local residents survive. Jasper is devastated by these events, and it's chilling seeing him express his despair. Strangely, Sam doesn't seem to remember anything. She seems to have no memories of White Whale Bay at all. From her perspective, she's still on the train for the first time. While on the train, John and Sam encounter the traveling merchant William and his robot son Daniel. Daniel shares a name with a kid from Pockrock Isle whose father escaped to the surface. As much as William seems to be avoiding the topic, it seems likely that he is Daniel's dad. When the train reaches a New Dam City, everyone goes their separate ways. John and Sam go together to see what's next for them. New Dam City is a lively city built on a huge dam. John and Sam's first task is to find a dam job. They find work for the so-called princess of the city, Alva, who appears to be a curious inventor. She is accompanied by the mysterious woman from the miasma disaster at Greenberg. She is called Isabel. She lives with Alva, and more? She apparently rides her rocket around the world trying to find ways to fight the damn miasma, while Alpha stays in the city to research and experiment. Alpha is eager to have new lab assistants. Her first task for them is to find a slime breeding furnace at the New Dam City's old town. Some damn zombies and residual miasma lying around aren't the only sinister things hiding in Old Town. There's a facility similar to the one at White Whale Bay, a human factory if it wasn't clear already. Apparently, a specimen has escaped. John and Sam move on and complete their quest to find the damn slime furnace. Upon returning to the city via the newly repaired subway, a punk youth called Solomon appears and makes a ruckus about being the harvester and the city being doomed. He's driven away by a goon, so John and Sam continue their way back to Alva. Upon returning, Alva and Isabel welcome John and Sam to live with them in their new home. It seems John and Sam may be settling into life at New Dam City. Later at the city, some kids ask for Sam's help. One of their friends has presumably gone to the damn casino called the Coin Palace to talk to his ChatGPT girlfriend or something. Sam is eager to help and visit the Coin Palace because she is too young and innocent to know what gambling is. Sam finds the kid, and he returns to his friends, but Sam decides to check out the rest of the Coin Palace because it looks fun. She finds an enticing-looking machine and inserts the lucky coin she got from Daniel. Meanwhile, John hasn't heard from Sam in a while. He hears about Sam going to the Coin Palace, so he checks it out. Inside, he finds Sam surrounded by huge damn piles of wealth at a machine. She wins so much that the goons take John and Sam to see the big boss of the casino, Lee. He tells them about the Wind God's prophecy, that heroes will someday save the city from disaster. Lee makes a bet with Sam and John. He gives them 3 attempts to make a dish that will impress him. Sam accepts this challenge eagerly. Alva warns them about making a bet with Lee, but Lee claims he's honest with his bets. He says that one of the heroes of the prophecy is a master chef, which may explain why he started the bet, to see if they're good enough cooks to beat the heroes. First, Sam and John try to find a rare damn fruit called a glazy berry to make jam with. When they're about to return with the berry, Daniel arrives, claiming that William is sick, and needs the berry to be cured. Sam, being the right combination of gullible and selfless, gives the berry to Daniel. The second dish Sam and John attempt is New Dam City's specialty crab pot, which is one of Lee's favorite dishes from his youth. The dish requires a rare king crab, which isn't in stock in the city. After dealing with a pair of damn workers responsible for delivering the crabs slacking off, John acquires the crabs and starts cooking. While leaving the crabs to cook, Jasper returns and asks Sam and John to help the circus, which is in danger of dying and leaving the city. Sam and John help with the circus, but in doing so, the damn crabs are overcooked, and the crab pot is ruined. The circus helps kickstart the final attempt with a variety of special ingredients for a feast. Alpha still thinks the feast needs a yes factor, so William arrives, telling John and Sam about a rare golden fish found outside the city. It can only be found in Quake Valley. Daniel clears some damn debris in the way with his superpowered robot strength. Sam is amazed by this, but Daniel sees it as a part of his curse of having excess energy stored within him. William and Daniel have been running schemes this whole time in order to afford an operation for Daniel, in hopes he can feel like a normal kid. Sam and John retrieve the fish and cook it up. Lee arrives to eat the meal and is delighted. The flavor of the fish reminds him of friendship, and he admits that Sam and John won the bet. He tells Sam he can use his influence to give her whatever she wants, and she says she just wants Lee to eat John's meals with everyone all the time. Lee is extremely charmed by this answer, claiming she could not only rule the city, but the whole world. Sam couldn't just rule the damn city, but also the damn nation. And so, Sam and John proceed to live their lives in the New Dam City. It seems to be a shame that Sam and John's first 2 attempts were ruined by circumstances out of their control. William and Daniel's scheme ruined the first dish, and the circus ruined the second dish. Still, both groups of people that caused the first 2 dishes to fail ended up helping find ingredients for the final dish. It's also worth considering that Lee probably made his bet because he wanted to see if Sam and John could be the heroes from the prophecy. The bet wasn't just a test of their cooking skills, but also their heroic selflessness. Sam and John proved themselves to be heroic when they chose helping William and the circus over succeeding on their first 2 dishes. Sam and John could have refused to help in these instances, but they decided that the needs of others were more important than their own damn problems. The Sam and John that would have refused to help wouldn't be heroes worthy of prophecy. The structure of the bet feels like a fable, where failed attempts still prove a hero's worth because their failure is due to heroic qualities. Now, after being exiled from Rock Isle and the fall of Greenberg, New Dam City is starting to feel like a place that Sam and John can call home. I'd like to take a moment to talk about other things in New Dam City that I appreciate, that aren't quite connected to the main plot. First of all, I really like the atmosphere of New Dam City. It feels crowded and really cobbled together in a way that feels very lively. I like the winding streets with the alleyways covered in billboards and lights. The background NPCs add a lot of damn life to the city. There are several NPCs that don't do much for the plot, but you run into them occasionally, and they're often just trying to make it big in the city in different ways. They may constantly be jumping from job to job, searching for treasure, trying to make it big in the coin palace, or making the best of what little they have. You can even find a ghost in several locations around the city, who tells you scary stories. Some of them are genuinely unnerving, like the one about the kid who climbs into a fan, and now their cries can be heard as noises coming from it. New Dam City is definitely the biggest section of the game, and it really feels vibrant and busy. So about that prophecy of the Wind God. The prophecy that the city will one day face disaster, and heroes will have to face it. That day approaches when miasma starts to threaten the city. Fortunately, Alpha has been working with Lee, and they have a plan. Lee is trying to evacuate the city's population to the Coin Palace, but a few people are still lost. Among them are Silva and Armstrong, the construction workers from earlier that got distracted when they were supposed to deliver the damn crabs. Sam and John find the missing people, of course, though Mung, the boss of the construction company, is disappointed with his wayward workers yet again. On their way back to the control room of Alpha's project, Sam and John encounter Solomon again, doing some sinister yoga, and attempting some sort of ritual to call for Charon. This is interrupted and Sam and John continue. Once all the missing people are found, Alpha activates the Wind God. A huge damn fan turns on at the center of the city and accelerates like helicopter blades. The wind from the fan blows away the miasma and saves the city. This happens in a pretty exciting cutscene, which is probably the hypest damn fan powering up sequence I've ever seen. Granted, I have not seen a lot of other hype fan powering up sequences, but this scene sets the bar damn high. Afterwards, it seems the miasma is not a problem anymore. Alpha and Isabel take a break at a bar, and Alpha is scared about what would have happened if the Wind God didn't work. Isabel reassures her that she wouldn't let anything happen to Alpha. Later, Alpha is working at the control room again to do maintenance on the Wind God. She requests Sam and John to bring her lunch, but the damn elevator into the control room isn't working. While Sam and John are taking an alternate path through some underground tunnels, the miasma appears again. Sam and John make their way through the inner workings of the dam, while Alpha rushes to make sure the Wind God is in working order. As she does so, Alpha realizes that something is wrong and goes to check. When Sam and John arrive in the control room, Alpha seems to be busy somewhere else. Then, they encounter Solomon, who appears to have sabotaged the Wind God. He realizes that Sam is Mother, or at least the body of Mother, then fights her and John. When Sam and John defeat Solomon's machine, they return to the control room. Isabel rushes out of a room with Alpha's unconscious body, and leaves the control room. The animation for Isabel really sells the scene. It reminds me of when animated shows will sometimes have a single scene animated by James Baxter. Alpha seems severely injured at best, and with the Wind God sabotaged, New Dam City is ravaged. Alpha is no longer present to keep Isabel under control. Isabel is later interrogating Solomon. He says that Mother commanded him to sabotage the Wind God, and that Sam is Mother. She visits Sam later about to kill her in her damn sleep, and then Mother appears to her. Isabel realizes that Mother and Sam aren't the same person, but she is convinced by Mother to go to a legendary place called Eastward City. That could be where Isabel could heal Alpha. Sam and John assess the damage of the city. No one seems to be dead, but there are a few missing people. Mung, Silva, and Armstrong are apparently missing in Lowtown. They are rescued, and despite how damn hard Mung is on his workers, he really cares for their well-being, and is relieved to have them back. Suddenly, Mother appears again, claiming that the residents of the city live a miserable existence that has no need to continue. Sam follows her. Mother tries to convince Sam that releasing the miasma and the other things Mother has done was Sam's doing. Sam is not convinced, and Mother leaves. Sam is chased by a monster, but she manages to repel it with her powers. At this point, Sam has remembered all she has forgotten about White Whale Bay. Sam and John learn that Isabella left with Alva, and that she is attempting to find Eastward City, which is said to have advanced technology, and people that don't die or age. The people of New Dam City say their goodbyes to Sam and John, and they depart with William and Daniel, hoping to find an operation for Daniel at Eastward City. On the way, they start to get lost in some fog. Every time they get into the fog, a copy of their train, the Iron Carbine, appears behind them and rams into them. Then they are sent back in time to just before they enter the fog. Eventually, they try to outrun the train, but they crash into something else. The Iron Carbine finds itself crashed into Monk Hollywood, a movie studio run by talking monkeys on a train. Sam and John try to find a rocket at Monk Hollywood to make the Iron Carbine faster, but in exchange, they must act in Monk Hollywood's movies. Monk Hollywood is probably the weakest section of the game for me. After the expansive New Dam City and the dramatic conclusion of that part of the story, Monk Hollywood feels like a weirdly goofy diversion. It's still fine though. The director is absolutely obsessed with John, which I like because I feel exactly the same. I like that there's a monkey called Soprano. So then Sam and John finish their acting and receive their rocket. The rocket turns out to be a prop, but movie magic made it look so realistic. Sam and John must figure out another solution. It's soon revealed that Solomon is on the train as well, now an adult. The strange time field that the train travels through may have made him experience some extra years. Mother appears to him, telling him to continue his task and open the human factory on the train. Mother says that she will still have some awakening to do. The use of she could be referring to Sam, who may complete her transformation into Mother by facing danger. Solomon goes off to have his monkey goons take over the train. Sam and John must sneak past them to Solomon. They find his monkey train machine and learn that Isabel was last seen continuing to find Esther City. Sam, John, William, and Daniel eventually find Solomon's collection of quiz shows he recorded. They learn that the goal of the human factories is to replace humanity with an improved humanity, and that he intends to lead the human race when it's purged by the miasma. As a reward for enduring this quiz, they get a version of Isabel's rocket as a reward. It is attached to iron carbine. With the iron carbine's upgrade and the power of the lucky coin, it pierces through the time field to Esther City. Sam and John are about to set foot in Esther City, when suddenly they are at a graveyard attending the funeral of a Professor Solomon. The time anomalies at Esther City must have had Solomon experience enough extra years to die of old age. Sam and John don't know how they got to the graveyard, and before they can get their bearings, they have a job to deliver several packages. One of these packages is a part for Daniel's operation. The operation ends up failing because Daniel has too much extra energy. Once all of the packages are delivered, Sam and John are back at the funeral again, and they also have the same packages to deliver. They seem to be in a time loop. They attempt to change things to make Daniel's operation a success, but it still doesn't work. After an attempt at the operation, Sam and John must deliver a package for Ivan. Ivan is apparently also trying to find the whereabouts of Isabel. Just as time is about to loop again, Ivan tells Sam and John to find Thomas on the island of time. When they find Thomas, he decides to reassemble a team consisting of him, Ivan, and some other residents of Esther City to learn about what they can about Isabel. Guy, the one who's been operating on Daniel, found Alva's robot assistant, the Sonic Punk, and repaired it. The Sonic Punk is able to scan Isabel in other timelines, and learns that she tried to enter Esther City's Eternal Tower. After scanning for Isabel a few more times, everyone learns that Isabel received the key for the Eternal Tower, the Flame of Time, from Solomon. Everyone finds a secret dungeon under Solomon's grave, implying that his death may have been faked. Sam and John retrieve the flame. The tower also needs a large amount of power to be opened, which they get from Daniel's surplus. Sam and John make their way through the tower. It's probably the largest dungeon in the game and has some of the trickiest puzzles. They make it to the top and break the time field being generated at the top of the tower. Esther City is no longer experiencing time anomalies, but is now deserted and overgrown. Now in the true timeline, Sam and John hope to find Isabel at the top of the tower. On their way, they encounter Solomon again. He tries to convince them that he is not a bad man, because he protected Esther City from the miasma. Perhaps he was responsible for the time field. When Sam says that Esther City's eternal nature was an illusion, Solomon claims that mortality is an illusion, and a new humanity could be free from that illusion. He fights Sam and John and is defeated again. They make it to the top of the tower and to the station. William and Daniel are discussing their plans to settle down now that Daniel has had his operation. Sam is wondering where Isabel is. Then, Solomon appears again with his machine and attacks. Daniel blocks the attack, but is broken because he no longer has the excess power to withstand a blow. Sam is so upset that Mother seems to awaken within her and takes over her body. Mother crushes Solomon. Charon arrives at the station and Mother boards. John attempts to chase the train on foot, but it's no good. William is looking after Daniel and lets John use the iron carbine to catch up with Charon. John only has one goal on his mind: to save Sam. Sam is what he cares about most in the world. He is the reason Sam formed her own identity, instead of the vessel or whatever Mother wanted her to be. John's goal is to make sure that Sam continues to be Sam. He boards Charon and begins his search. He travels through what seems to be Mother's base of operations, where she masters the craft of creating humans, and where she may hope to create a new humanity. Sam's soul seems to be roaming around Charon. It guides John through a surreal sequence of finding the correct Sam among several clones. Then, John has to make his way through what seems to be a labyrinth constructed from his memories. The walls rearrange themselves as John tries to make it through the labyrinth with miasma pursuing him. John eventually reaches what seems to be Sam, Mother snatches her away and lets John find his next challenge. Ahead, John finally finds Isabel next to a vessel of goo containing what seems to be Alpha's body. There's not just one, but countless clones of Alpha being grown in the train. Isabel seems to have been so twisted by grief that she seeks to unleash the miasma and repopulate the world of Alpha, protecting her clones from Charon. She challenges John, who has been working with Sam to stop the miasma. John and Isabel have a duel, which is probably one of the sickest scenes in the game. A duel is a perfect way to have two ideologies clash. It's Isabel's twisted sense of protection over Alpha, despite her wishes to stop the miasma herself, versus John's determination to stick by his principles and let humanity live, die, and repeat as is natural. Isabel is defeated, but Alpha's ghost appears to comfort her. She reassures her that the dead are not meant to be alive again. Sam's soul appears and apologizes for Mother's actions. Alpha encourages Sam to not let Mother gain control. Sam and John go to face Mother, while Alpha stays with Isabel to hug her one last time. Isabel is just still, looking into the distance, and her hands loosen to drop her sword. Dang. I love when a character is so overwhelmed by emotion that they're just standing there, taking it all in, only to drop their sword. Sam and John face off against Mother. Sam's soul inhabits John's frying pan, combining her supernatural abilities with John's combat proficiency. It's a very climactic boss fight of the game. It feels so cinematic. Finally, Mother is defeated in combat. One final time, she attempts to tell Sam how much of a failure humanity is, but Sam launches her soul at her, combining the two of them. They struggle and appear to form a single being, both Sam and Mother. John is left with some weird, watery dimension with a strange glowing horizon. I don't even know what's going on, but it sure is a vibe. The being formed from Sam and Mother drift down to John's arms. He takes one final look at Sam as she fades away. The ghosts of Sam and Mother appear to explain that John will find Sam again, living her own life. Can John even hear them? It seems like he can, because he looks towards Sam as she walks away. Sometime in the future, a slightly older Sam is at a train station. She finds John, but she doesn't know who he is. He sits silently. Sam asks if he's seen a ghost, which is a more appropriate question than she thinks. The two wait for a train together, and the story of Eastward ends. Humanity continues to endure, emboldened by a metaphorical light brighter and warmer than the sun. William has reunited with his human son, and is even fixing Daniel. It looks like humanity has a bright future ahead. Eastward is quite a journey, but there are a few other things I'd like to highlight. Each chapter of Eastward ends with a bit of narration. The narration has a sort of storybook style, describing some of the characters' or thoughts or setting the mood of that part of the story. They feel like intermissions of story time in between chapters, and they're a really nice touch. I'd also like to get into how the game handles lore. I'm not the kind of person to ignore some good lore, and this game has some good lore. Throughout the game, you only get fragments or vague clues about the history of the world. Still, these fragments are enough that there are plenty of interesting theories you can piece together. I feel like that's a sign of a strong lore in a story. If the fragment and clues of a world's history are interesting enough that you try to piece them together into a complete narrative, that's some well done lore. I like when a story or a game has you play archaeologists and speculate what happened as you learn more clues. Early in the game, you can listen to a story about how the world became what it is today. A long time ago, people had boxes, in which they could see a wide variety of things. One day, these boxes all broke, and so did the homes of these people. I interpreted this as referring to the cell phones and computers we have today, and that the apocalypse of this world involved the failure of the internet and the electrical grid. The save points in the game often talk about saving memories and the philosophy around that. Combining that with the early appearances of Mother, I interpreted that Mother as someone else's memories uploaded to Sam. That turned out to be sort of true. I even had a theory that people upload their memories to computers, but when the computers died, that turned people into the zombies we see in Old Dam City. The zombies could also be flawed creations of the human factories. There's still a lot of mysteries in the game. I still don't know where exactly a miasma came from. The human factories seem to control it, though it also seems like some supernatural force that the human factories are trying to fight in their own way. How did the body of Mother end up underground near Pockrock Isle? How did the residents of Esser City that helped you find the Flame of Time know Mother? What is their history? Alpha apparently had a grandfather from Esser City. Who is he? Were the monkeys at Monk Hollywood created from the factory on the train? Why is there a huge whale and white whale Bay Station? In fact, there's animal symbolism everywhere when it comes to Mother. What does it all mean? There's a lot of questions left unanswered, but I respect that. It shows that there are many secrets of the world that have been lost along with civilization that fell in the apocalypse. Sam and John don't learn everything. They're just doing what's important for them, which is living their own lives. There's another piece of lore that I would like to share. and it's the most disturbing lore of all. It's something that you learn in the secluded and reality-warped Esther City. Somewhere, in some time, Florida exists. I'm sorry. Your lives will never be the same, but I had to share this truth. The burden is now yours. Eastward also has some really charming and interesting characters. I'll talk about some of them as I dive deeper into the themes of the story, but I'd like to take this moment to acknowledge some notable characters that I don't have quite as much to say about. Jasper is essentially the third companion to Sam and John for sections of the first half of Eastward. Initially, he seems like a goofy and melodramatic character to cut the tension, but I think he does a fair amount to contribute to the mood of the game. When you first reach the surface, Jasper is mortified by what could await them there. This is a reminder of how much the residents of Pockrock Isle have been living in fear. Gradually, Jasper becomes more comfortable with Whitewell Bay, only for it to be taken away from him. Jasper's despair after the disaster at Greenberg effectively sells how tragic that moment is. Jasper later decides to stay with New Dam City Circus, and it's wholesome to see him find a home and purpose on the surface. William and Daniel are worth mentioning. There are a couple of really fun companions from the middle and penultimate sections of Eastward. William is a schemer and seems to solve his problems by running away from them, but he still cares for Daniel, as much as he puts up a cool facade. Daniel is a nice companion to William because he's constantly almost spoiling William's schemes before William shuts him up. I like Daniel's meek demeanor in contrast to William's sly and gallant attitude. They're fun characters to run into, and their theme song is always a bop. It's nice when William starts to make plans to settle down back at Pockrock Isle near the end. He's had his years adventuring, but now he wants to be part of a community again. Solomon is a major antagonist in the game, and he's a fun character, albeit relatively simple. I think it works well for him that he has such high ambitions for himself, only to end up as a means to an end for Mother. Just a rung in a ladder. Solomon has attached himself to this ideology of remaking humanity with such zeal, but in the end, he wasn't nearly as important as he thought he would be. Solomon is delightfully maniacal. I like his two-colored eyes and the mohawk he has for his jacket in his younger versions. It's fun running into him at various points in his life, but there are other villains in this game where I've found more to analyze. So what does the story of Eastward actually mean? What is it trying to say? I think that the main theme of Eastward is how humanity survives. The game shows two methods that humanity keeps itself alive. One way is the way we're hopefully all familiar with. That's the method of living fulfilling lives, showing love, kindness, understanding, and responsibility. Humanity endures by staying human. The other method is domination. This involves modifying ourselves until we reach perfection, and wiping out anything that is flawed. This is the method of using power and selfishness to get one's way. Eastward is about how the quality that lets humanity endure isn't power, but compassion. Mayor Hoffman is one of the first antagonists in Eastward. He's like every politician you hate merged into a single person. He has this big Jack Horner energy from Puss in Boots of being an intimidating bully, but looking like such a dork at the same time. Hoffman rules Pockrock for fear. For him, the miasma of the surface isn't a threat that he must defend Pockrock Isle from, but a boogeyman that he uses to control its residents. Sure, Hoffman was right about the miasma being dangerous, but do you think he really cares? It's just a convenient tool for him to control his town with fear. Hoffman tries to dominate his small corner of the world for fear, forcing people to hide and obey him, rather than to help them overcome the dangers that they face. Lee is one of the most interesting characters to me. At first he seems like a ruthless mob boss, the kind of guy who will do anything to get his way. It turns out that Lee isn't quite like that. When it comes to bets, he's an honorable man. He promised a long time ago to protect Alpha and the city, and he sticks by those promises to the best of his ability. When the miasma arrives, Lee becomes the best version of himself and makes sure everyone in the city is evacuated and safe. He also sticks with Alpha to make sure that the Wind God is operational. Lee is quite a powerful figure within New Dam City, but he uses his influence to be a responsible leader. He has a shady reputation, but really the worst thing he does in the game is run a casino where people can lose lots of money. Lee is very capable of dominating the world with his power, but he chooses not to. When it comes down to it, he uses his influence to help his community, and that's what lets New Dam City endure. Isabelle is another really interesting character. When you get to know her, she seems to be a more subdued and practical companion to Alpha, balancing her energetic and more emotional nature. Still, there's this slight uneasiness to Isabelle. She seems almost too dedicated to Alpha's well-being. Indeed, when Alpha is knocked out, Isabelle has no one left to keep her in check. She lets desperation control her actions, such as almost killing Sam, running away with the city's beloved princess, and attempting to clone her. She essentially becomes an antagonist for a moment when dueling with John, despite being an ally earlier in the story. Isabel is a character that shows the dark side of dedication and loyalty. She stops at nothing to do what she thinks is best for Alva, even attempting revenge on an innocent child, and replacing the world's population for a loved one, or many ones actually. This shows that the line between love and domination is thinner than one may think. It's important to cherish those close to you, but it's dangerous to be so consumed by them that you end up abandoning your ideals on their behalf. Isabel is a foil to John, the main character you play as. Like Isabel, John is dedicated to the well-being of a loved one, Sam. John is not very expressive, but you can tell with his actions that Sam means the world to him. He's ready to protect her from any harm whenever they're in danger. He always makes sure to have a delicious meal for her when she's hungry. He always lets her have the comfiest bed available, while he sleeps in the chair. John is the model of healthy masculinity. The main difference between John and Isabel is that John sticks by his principles. Even in the face of losing Sam, for John, it's important that Sam lives her own life. That's why Sam has developed to be so kind and innocent, despite being designed to be a vessel for Mother. John wouldn't resort to making clones of Sam because that would mean her life is fully in his hands. It's John's responsibility to protect Sam, not to be in control of her. John knows that Sam wants to live in a world without miasma, and John's goal is to help make the world the best place that Sam could live. When Sam fades away, John seems sad, but he also seems to accept that Sam made her decision to stop Mother, and he will honor it. When John crosses paths with Sam again, he probably knows that she will be a different person, but that's fine, because Sam is still her own person. That's what John has been trying to achieve the entire game. Whether it's at Greenberg, New Dam City, or in the future, John is trying to build a life where Sam can be her own person. A significant element of Eastward's story is the miasma. It's the all-consuming force that constantly threatens Sam, John, and everyone else in the world. With how prevalent it is in the story, it must certainly represent something. So what does it represent? First, let's define what the miasma is. It's either something controlled by the human factories, or something that the human factories are trying to overcome. Maybe it's both. It's not clear what the origins of the miasma are, but it seems like the human factories were partially made so that there could be a new humanity that survives the miasma. Still, Mother and the human factories also seem to have control over when and where the miasma is unleashed. My theory is that the miasma is symbolic of entropy, the end of all things. The human factories are both a response to and a control over entropy. The human factories were made because Mother or whoever else wanted a humanity that could resist entropy. Now, the human factories harness entropy in order to wipe out forms of humanity that they consider lesser. It's a tale as old as time. What's the reason any person or group of people seek to dominate others? It's because they themselves don't want to be dominated. When people feel like they're at the mercy of something, be it destruction or the passage of time, they may seek to dominate something else, so that they feel like they're in control. Hoffman is scared of the miasma, but he tries to maintain a sense of control by using the miasma to manipulate others. The human factories seek to harness the force that could wipe out humanity, all while making a new humanity that could survive it. Humanity doesn't survive oppression of power and fear by using it themselves. Humanity isn't great because it chooses who gets to be part of it. The greatness of humanity doesn't endure by using cruelty to enforce where people can or can't live based on borders that are arbitrary and made up anyway. In the end, the miasma is defeated by Sam's act of self-determination. She fights Mother's hatred for humanity with her love for it. This allows humanity to endure, not because they are driven by hate, but by love. I like Eastward because it shows humanity in all of its facets. There are moments that are wholesome and silly, there are moments that are tragic, there are moments of hatred and hubris, there are moments of epic heroism. The world itself is broken and beautiful. The remnants of a familiar human civilization are overgrown and built upon by a small number of those who continue to survive. The world is shattered and dangerous, but beauty endures. Sometimes the people you find are foolish or cruel. They may be dishonest or lost, but they are still people. People still have hearts, and they are capable of greatness. I try my best to keep this in mind, despite how much the decisions of some people may challenge that idea. Eastward is an epic ride through a vibrant world full of fun and compelling characters. It's a beautiful game, and it's pretty fun to play through as well. The game takes a solid 20 to 30 hours to play, but I think it's an unforgettable and thrilling journey. If you're into character-focused adventures and intriguing worlds, I recommend checking out Eastward. I haven't seen a lot of attention for Eastward on the internet, and when I played it myself, I knew I wanted to make a video on it. If you haven't heard of it, well now you have. You're welcome. I hope you enjoyed this analysis on the journey of Eastward. Goodbye everybody. Sam, Not that Sam, but the other Sam, wishes you well.